So, what is your earliest memory?
Oh dear. I think it probably was when we went to my uncle's farm
Ooh.
and they asked us, my brother, who was a year older than me, and my little sister, who was 2 years younger. We went in to try to catch the chickens.
You were trying to catch chickens?
Well, I don't know what we were doing, but we didn't. I thought we were supposed to be catching.
Right. And that's your earliest memory. That's wonderful.
I think so. It's got to be.
Yeah, that's great.
I'm still scared of chickens. I could cook them, but I couldn't feed them.
Nice. Well, that's great. So you've seen some changes going on in the world, and you had mentioned to me there were three main changes that you have seen. And one thing that I didn't know about is that you first worked for the airlines.
Oh, I loved working for the airlines. I was a ticket agent, and I worked for Pennsylvania Central Airlines, and then when they merged with United, I didn't want to join the union, so I went and got a job with Eastern Airlines, and I stayed with Eastern until I was married and didn't work anymore.
Mm-hmm. And in 1944, do you remember how many passengers you could put onto one plane?
Oh, yes, 21 passengers in 1944.
Yes. You're also telling me that you were at the ticketing gate and three men came in and they were unhappy because of the breakfast that they had.
Yes, oh, they were so loud and making so much noise. And it kind of scared me, and I said to myself, oh, go to the girls over there. There were four of us on the counter. Well, they came right to me. So I took care of them. And then eventually I married him.
That's great. Wow. Well, I'm glad they didn't go to somebody else. I'm glad they went to you. So
Right.
that's great. Um, so that was the airlines. There's another change in the world that you've seen, and it was about your first radio.
Oh, yes. My father helped me. And I guess I had seen it in a magazine or something somewhere. And it was
It was a crystal radio.
a crystal radio.
Yeah.
And I loved it because I could put hearing aids or
Headphones.
headphones.
Mm-hmm.
And I could put them on. I could listen to all the music and everything. And my little sister couldn't do it. It was all mine.
All yours. Good. And one thing that you had, but you shared with other people, was your phone.
Oh, we had poor person trying to make a telephone call. You had to go through the operator. And the girl would say, operator. And we'd say, this is Marge Snyder. She wants to call Jane Amos. Please, Mrs. Operator. All right, here's Jane.
Yes. And if somebody called, and you had told me a story about somebody called for Mrs. Jones, but she was out hanging laundry. And
Oh, yes. The operator was a very busy girl.
mm-hmm.
She kept us all in line. She knew what everybody was doing. And she'd look out her window and she'd see Mrs. Jones hanging her clothes, and down the street would be somebody putting out their rugs or something. I mean, we knew who was busy, so you wouldn't take the woman and say, let's not bother Mrs. Jones while she's putting her, everything is being put out online.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And we're kind of coming back to that era, I think.
I would like to go back to that era. Yes. So if we can talk about faith and your experience with church, you were raised a Unitarian, but you married an Episcopalian.
Yeah, it's a small world, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
And then I became a Presbyterian because I liked the choir. And the children all went through the choir as a Presbyterian.
Mm-hmm. And you knew the organist?
Oh, we knew the Mac.
Oh, that's great.
And his wife.
Yes.
And then they were fired when the new minister had one of his own that he wanted to put in. Mm-hmm. I was so mad that I followed the organist down to downtown Detroit in the Episcopal Church there. Mm. So that's how I became an Episcopalian.
That is great. So how long have you been, what year did you arrive at All Angels?
I think about 1984. We were still just in one room. Mm-hmm. And if we had a party on Saturday, then we had to have everything set up in the main hall for Sunday morning. Mm-hmm. Yes. Oh, and it was wild when it was Christmas or we made do for just about everything.
So what's your first memory of church? Like when we think back about church, what is your first memory?
Oh, I guess it was when I don't know, was that?
Because you were telling me that you had a little box and you had a coin in it.
Yeah. Oh, yes, we had, when I was a child, I had a little purse. It had a little button that closed the purse. And then opened it, and there was a quarter in there. And I'd take the quarter out and put it in the collection plate. Mm-hmm. Oh, I thought I was a big shot. Because I had my own money and my own little purse. I loved it.
That's wonderful. Yes. Also, one of your earliest memories was of your dad in church.
He loved playing Santa Claus. And he got caught one time when my cousin, who was younger than me, and she went up to him and he would give him a box of candy. And he'd say, ho, ho, ho. Hello, he'd say, ho, 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 Nancy, Merry Christmas. And she'd say, ha, ha, ha. Hi, Uncle Cliffy.
So he was caught.
Huh?
She caught him.
She caught him.
Yes. So if we want to talk about your hobbies, I know that one of your hobbies around here is playing bridge.
Oh, yeah.
When did you first learn to play bridge?
Oh, we all through high school. And it was warriors. There wasn't a heck of a lot to do when you were that age.
Yeah.
So everybody be playing bridge.
Oh, that's great.
And even our parents would fill in if we needed somebody to play, and they'd teach us a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It was wonderful.
That is wonderful. Yes. Now, if I can change the questions a little bit, we had talked about, as you think back on 100 years, one of the hardest things about aging, we had talked about one of the hardest parts for you about aging.
Hardest parts about aging.
Yeah.
Well, you have to learn to, I don't know, I'm trying to think of what.
That's okay. You shared with me one of the hardest things was losing your eyesight.
Oh, heavens, yes. And it came as such a surprise. I never in my wildest dreams ever thought I would have trouble with my eyes. It just wasn't to be.
Mm-hmm.
And here I am.
And another aspect was you enjoyed driving.
Yeah.
And when did you first learn to drive?
Oh, I was 16, I guess. And my brother had to teach me. Can I tell that story?
Well, I would love to hear any story about your brother teaching you to drive.
One Sunday, we had to drive my girlfriend home. She lived out, so my mother said we could take her home. Of course, Howard had to go with me. So we're driving along, and all of a sudden he says, "Pull into that gas station." Well, I'd never pulled into a gas station. I didn't know really much about what I was supposed to do. And so I pulled in. It was a one pump, a gas station, on a Sunday afternoon. And I drove in, and my front bumper caught the hose. And I just kept going. And I pulled the pump right out of the socket. Poor little man saying, "Stop, stop." And oh dear, he was not very happy.
So then Howard took over and he drove.
He drove home, but when we had to go back home, he made me drive home. And we were driving along, and he says, "Pull in that gas station." And I said, "Oh no." I was so afraid. He said, "It won't bite you, just pull in." And so I had to pull in and pull up to the gas pump and get the gas. It was it was a horrible day. That poor little man, I took all of his money away. He couldn't sell anymore. Oh dear. He's probably still cussing me out.
So I have a couple more questions. One is, what would you like to see in the next decade and how people can treat each other?
Oh, I just wish everybody could get along and be happy and and they don't have to get along with everyone, but do it nicely.
Yes.
Just try and get along with everybody. Smile and do what the Lord wants you to do. Be good. Can they all be good?
We can, yes. And you told me whether we agree or not agree, we should be nice to each
Yeah,
other.
right. I mean, get nice with each other.
And my last question is, what does all angels mean to you?
Home.
Home.
It's just home to me.
That's great. Well, I want to wish you a happy birthday. And I'm very glad you were with us. May God bless you this day. May God bless you on your birthday and all the days of your life. I love you, and I'm glad that we are here together.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Oh, you're so dear.
And now again,
Now I get my
now you get your water.